Let's talk about the New Orleans Saints, who are currently 1-7 on the season. They are making a quarterback change here. Tyler Schut will be the starting quarterback for the foreseeable future. We saw them bench Spencer Rattler against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And before I get into the quarterback decision that Kellen Moore has made over the last 48 hours, I want to start off with the entire roster here, because this is easily one of the worst rosters in the NFL. And it's part of the reason why you are 1-7 on the season. I don't put majority of the blame on Kellen Moore, who is a first-year head coach, and the same with Brandon Staley, who is your defensive coordinator. I put majority of the blame on Mickey Loomis. Mickey Loomis has been a terrible general manager with this organization for quite some time, and he's not going to get fired anytime soon. He is the longest tenured general manager in the NFL. And I know that a lot of people, they bring up Jerry Jones. That's different. He's the owner. He has 100% say-so with his organization. Mickey Loomis is not the owner with the New Orleans Saints, but he has been in this front office for a very long time. And the reason why I give him majority of the blame here, when Drew Brees retired, they should have went into rebuild mode, but instead they didn't. This is why Sean Payton retired. He realized Drew Brees is not going to be here anymore. This team doesn't have that much talent, and the cap space every single year is terrible. So Sean Payton, he retires. He takes a year off from the NFL. Then he becomes the head coach with the Denver Broncos. The Saints work out a trade. He's now the head coach in Denver. And the Broncos are a very good team at the moment. But Mickey Loomis had a chance here to bring in the right head coach after Sean Payton and to bring in the right young talent. It was always going to be tough in terms of going out there and fully rebuilding your team. But you could have been ahead of a curve, especially in this division. This is not one of the best divisions in football. You have the Carolina Panthers. They've been struggling over the last few years. They've been up and down this season. And the same with the Atlanta Falcons over the last few years. The only main consistent team in this division over the last 5 years has been the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, while the New Orleans Saints have put a Band-Aid on the quarterback position with Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston, and Derek Carr. And he gave Derek Carr a terrible contract. And you had Dennis Allen be the head coach with this team over the last few years. That was a terrible mistake. You had a high payroll, and yet you were not making the NFL playoffs, and you're not winning those many games in the regular season. If you go into a full rebuild mode, you bring in the right talent in the NFL draft, you bring in the right coaching, and it didn't have to be this way. But instead, now you do have a quarterback controversy between Spencer Rattler and the same with Tyler Schut. This is a football team. They cannot run the football consistently. They're 27th in rushing offense. And Alvin Kamara is a talented running back. But listen to these numbers here. You've only had 3 games this season with over 100 rushing yards, 107 rushing yards in week 1 versus the Arizona Cardinals, 121 rushing yards against the 49ers in week 2, 79 rushing yards against the Seahawks in week 3, and week 4, 189 rushing yards against the Buffalo Bills. And that was a gutsy performance by the Saints. They had a lot of fight in that matchup. But unfortunately, you lost that game. 88 rushing yards in week 5, 73 rushing yards against the Patriots in week 6, 44 rushing yards in week 7 against the Chicago Bears, and 48 rushing yards against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Regardless of who your starting quarterback is, if you do not have a run game to help them out, you can't work off of play action. Therefore, teams will go out there, they'll put an extra defensive back on the field, and they will put someone in double coverage, and it's going to put extra stress on your quarterback, whether it's Spencer Rattler or Tyler Schut. And you can make the case, well, the quarterback play was better. Maybe it opens up the run game here. Spencer Rattler has had good moments and has had good games this season. And the run game was still inconsistent. And part of it is because the offensive line, Ryan Ramczyk, had to retire due to a knee injury, but he was a very good tackle over the course of his career. So the offensive line is a huge part of it. But at the same time, we've seen Kellen Moore give up on the run game very early in matchups. They'll run the football early in the first half. Then he forgets about running the football until late in the fourth quarter. He needs to be a better head coach, and he needs to be a better play caller with the offense overall. This offensive line has been inconsistent. And just to be honest here, it's not good. Kevin Banks, you selected him in the first round. He's had some good moments this season, but he's a rookie. It usually takes time for a tackle to truly develop in this league. We've seen some tackles go out their rookie season. They're one of the best in their position, but that's very rare. I think the upside is still there, but it has been tough sledding over the last few weeks in pass protection for Kelvin Banks. At the right tackle position, Talasay Fuaga, he's in year 2. He has shown a lot of good moments this season. He needs to be more consistent. I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about Kelvin Banks long term either. I think the tackle position will be fine, but at this moment, they need to be better. Cesar Ruiz is who I am worried about. He has been a terrible guard this season. He's one of the worst offensive guards in football. You spent a first-round pick on him as well. He just hasn't turned out, and he hasn't been a good player. And I think that they'll need to move on from him sooner than later. Eric McCoy, right now he's dealing with a biceps injury. He's on IR. And we saw how bad the offensive line was last year when he went down with an injury at that center position. Now you have Luke at the center position. You can't get a push at all. And playing alongside him, you have Trevor Penning, who has not been a good player with the New Orleans Saints. They drafted him as a tackle. He was so bad as a tackle. The athleticism was not there. He was not quick enough to deal with speed rushers like Michael Parsons, Myles Garrett, the same with Max Crosby. Even defensive ends that aren't even elite, they were able to go out there and beat him constantly on the outside. So you put him at the guard position. He hasn't even been better as a guard. He's still getting pushed back into the quarterback on a consistent basis. So the interior of your offensive line is no good. You need to have focus there. It's hurting you in pass blocking. It's hurting you in run blocking. And I'm surprised that Spencer Rattler has had moments this season. And the same with Tyler Shough when he came in that game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with how inconsistent the offensive line has been in terms of just blocking. They're terrible against stunts. They're terrible against twists. They'll have an outside rusher that is rushing as an inside rusher against the guard, and the tackle is completely confused. Now you have a free rusher on the outside, and your quarterback, he's in a one-on-one situation with a defensive end, with a pass rusher. That's attention to detail. The player deserves a lot of blame for that, but that's also on coaching to figure this out. The wide receiving position, Chris Olave is a solid player when he's fully healthy, and the same with Rashid Shaheed in the past, but eventually they're going to trade one of these players. You have to get some extra draft capital here, similar to what you did last year with Marshawn Lattimore. Everyone inside the building with the Saints, they loved Marshawn Lattimore, but they realized we have to move on from him. He's not the same player, and we need draft picks for the future. Now, in my opinion, Rashid Shaheed, he's in a contract year, has had some major drops this season with Chris Olave. He's still one of the best wide receivers on your roster, but you're not winning football games right now. You're 1-7. And this is a deep wide receiving class in this year's NFL draft. So go out there and move on from Rashid Shaheed if the price is right. If I'm the Saints, a second or a third round pick. That is what it will take to get Rashid Shaheed off this roster. Chris Olave, on the other hand, is a bit different. Chris Olave has had moments in the past where he has looked like a number 1 wide receiver. Not this season. He's more so of a number 2. He's been very inconsistent with his hands. He's dropped a lot of passes. But Chris Olave has dealt with injuries in his career as well. Concussions. And the way that general managers do business, you may get a low ball for Chris Olave. And you may have to give him a major contract extension very soon. So it depends on which player you look at and you say, hey, Chris Olave, those injuries, they concern me with the head with those concussions. Let's move on from him. Or Rashid Shaheed, who did miss majority of last season with a meniscus injury. Can he hold up long enough? Can he be more consistent? Regardless, one of these players will not be on the Saints within the next couple of weeks. That's my prediction. And you don't have that true number 1 wide receiver that's a difference maker right now. Chris Olave has shown flashes of that, just not this season. They need a big difference maker on the outside long term. And when you look at Olave numbers, 52 receptions, that's the 4th most in the NFL, but he's 13th in receiving yards with 503 and only 3 receiving touchdowns. Jawan Johnson, he's the most frustrating player on this roster. I haven't seen a tight end like him in a very long time. 36 receptions on the season, but he's had so many drop passes and so many fumbles in the open space. But he can constantly get open underneath. Most linebackers cannot cover him on those in routes. They can't cover him on an out route. He's constantly getting open, but he can't catch the football. And when he does catch the football, he'll have bad moments in open space to where he fumbles the football or he just loses control of it and it falls out of bounds. He needs to be better. I don't think that they'll trade Juwan Johnson. There's still a lot of upside with him, but he's very frustrating to watch on the field. Now, with Taysom Hill being fully healthy, I expect that Taysom Hill will be getting majority of the tight end snaps mixed in with Juwan Johnson. But honestly, Juwan Johnson, he just needs to be better. It's that simple. Just like the offensive lineman here. You can't move on from everyone. Players just have to step up. And I expect for Juwan Johnson to step up for the rest of the season, and the same with certain pieces on the offensive line. I'm not saying go out there, cut Juwan Johnson, cut your offensive lineman. Let these guys develop. Juwan Johnson is an older player. At this stage of his career, he should be able to catch the football on a more consistent basis. But the tackles here, back to the offensive line. Stick with Kevin Banks. Stick with Talasay Fuaga. Cesar Ruiz, on the other hand, move on from. And the same with Trevor Penning. But give those tackles some time. Alvin Kamara, he's come out and he said that he doesn't want to be traded from the New Orleans Saints. More than likely, he's going to be a Saint for life. But I would like to see them get him more integrated as a slot wide receiver, similar to what the 49ers have done with Christian McCaffrey, what the Atlanta Falcons have done with Bijan Robinson this season. If your run game is not working, those short passes can help substitute for that lack of a rush game. And we've seen this historically in the NFL, 3 to 4 yards passing. It's not ideal. It's not amazing, but instead of being in 2nd and 10, now you're in 2nd and 6. Now you're in 2nd and 7, possibly. It gives you more breathing room. And having him on the field with another running back in the backfield, it can keep the defense off balance. It's just the little things here with Kellen Moore. Even though he's a first-year head coach, he's been an offensive coordinator for quite some time with the Dallas Cowboys, with the Los Angeles Chargers. He just won a championship with the Philadelphia Eagles. He altered his game plan. So the fact that he hasn't altered his game plan this season has been very concerning. This is an offense, they don't have a true identity. But we've seen coaches go out there in year one. Offensive coaches, they find an identity early on and they stick to that. Get Alvin Kamara more involved, even if it's not as a running back in the backfield. He is so versatile. And this is the thing here with Alvin Kamara. He's never had over 1,000 rushing yards in the season. But he has been one of the most dynamic playmakers at this position. Early on in his career, he had Mark Ingram to bounce off of. Mark Ingram would come in, run downhill, run in between the tackles. The offensive line was significantly better, but you had a power back. Then you bring in Alvin Kamara. He could break those tackles in space. That's the ideal situation. And to the Saints' credit, they tried to bring in a running back in Kendre Miller. He's just dealt with injuries. He's on IR right now. So Alvin Kamara has to be your main running back the entire time, your power back in between the tackles, bouncing it to the outside. He's not a running back that should get 20 to 25 carries out of the backfield. You can give him 20 to 25 touches. But you need another running back that can come in, run in between the tackles, and get those tough 3 to 4 yards at a time. It saves the juice with Alvin Kamara later on in the matchup. And Devin Neal, I don't think that he's the guy. Maybe he could be, but right now, I don't think that he is the guy overall. But that's the current state of the offense. You have Devon Vile. He's more so of a number 3, number 4 wide receiver, the same with Mason Tipton. But that's the current state of your playmakers with your offensive line and the skill position in general. Now let's talk about the quarterback position here before I get into the defense, because the defense, they have a lot of positive parts, and I love what Brandon Staley has done this season as a defensive coordinator. But the quarterback position here, I made a video 2 weeks ago, and I was saying that the Saints have something special with Spencer Rattler. I didn't say that he was a franchise quarterback, but the talent was there. And I can see the comments now. He's 1-13 as a starter. What do you mean to have something special with Spencer Rattler? Last season, he had a terrible head coach in Dennis Allen. Clint Kubiak was his offensive coordinator. I'm still a huge fan of Clint Kubiak. He's a very good offensive mind. But your offensive line was not fully healthy. He did not play with Rashid Shaheed last season, and the same with Chris Olave. He's down to the number 3 and the number 4 wide receivers. And Juwan Johnson missed time last year. He didn't get first team reps. That all went to Derek Carr. They were not expecting for him to start games last season. And yet he still has some good moments. And the Saints roster last year still wasn't amazing. Spencer Rattler did the best that he could in that situation. And you bring it over to this year. He wins the quarterback battle in the offseason to Tyler Schut, who they selected in the 2nd round. Spencer Rattler, until that Chicago Bears game, has actually had a lot of good moments this year. When you look at these matchups and you go back and you look at week 1 against the 49ers, they were mounting a comeback in that game against the Arizona Cardinals, in week 1. He was 27 of 46, 214 passing yards, 0 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He worked in the system very well. He was able to throw open wide receivers. He didn't put the football in harm's way. He was comfortable inside the pocket. He was stepping into pressure. He was also using his legs on a consistent basis. What is surprising here, late in the fourth quarter, he had a beautiful dime to Juwan Johnson. He drops the football in the red zone. It was a tough catch. A defender was right in front of him, but you still have to come down with that ball. Against the 49ers, yet another tough game here. But Spencer Rattler had 3 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and you cannot make the case, you cannot say there was garbage time. They lost this game 26-21. So there was no garbage time. And this game was close all the way through. Spencer Rattler kept this offense on schedule, worked off of play action, and got things going with his legs outside the pocket. Against Seattle here, every unit got beat down by Seattle. This was a complete blowout. And we saw the head coach here and Kellen Moore get outcoached by Mike McDonald, the head coach of Seattle. Your special teams was terrible. You had a block punt in this game. Your field goal unit was terrible. Your entire offense, they couldn't run the football. Spencer Rattler looked surprised on the field. There were no adjustments by Kellen Moore, and your defense was pathetic as well. Overall, just a terrible outing. Now, against the Buffalo Bills, he didn't have his best game, but they lost his game 31-19. This was closer than the box score may suggest. But once again, he was able to get the football out in space. It was a huge drop in this game by Brandon Cooks. He was late on reads. Wasn't a perfect game, but he played well enough for them to stay in this matchup and to possibly win. But against the Giants here, 21-31, 225 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. It took 5 takeaways to basically win this game. 5 takeaways to win this matchup. Not ideal, but you won the game. And Spencer Rattler was a huge reason why you won the game on the offensive end. Didn't turn the football over, played very safe, and took deep shots down the field when he had to. It was a beautiful play to Rashid Shaheed in this game. He was wide open. Spencer Rattler finds him with pressure in his face, throws it to the right, and he goes up the field. It goes for a long touchdown. The quickest touchdown this season in the NFL. And that's what you want to see more of out of Spencer Rattler. And against the Patriots, he was 20 of 26, 227 passing yards. They lost his game 25-19. So they're losing a lot of games here by 1 score. But against the Bears, this is where we run to a roadblock. Spencer Rattler was not good in this matchup. 20 of 32, 233 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And it was a bad game all around on the offensive end. But Spencer Rattler has to be better. Now, in the ideal situation, if they did not draft Tyler Schut in the 2nd round, you let him work out through these problems. But this is a player that has played 14 games in his career, has started 14 games in his career. He can't have a 3-interception game against the Bears, and yet you were still in this matchup. There were still some close moments in this game. We did have some drops with Chris Olave, the same with Rashid Shaheed and Juwan Johnson. But for Rattler to come out and have 3 interceptions, it's just a bad game all around for him. And I would give Kellen Moore a lot of credit. He did not bench him in this game. He stuck with him. He didn't put in Tyler Schut. He could have easily put in Tyler Schut after that 2nd interception, but he rolled through with the punches. He gave him a fair chance. And against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you lost his game 23-3. Spencer Rattler, 15 of 21, 136 passing yards, 0 passing touchdowns, 1 terrible pick six. Just another bad game. That's 2 bad games in a row. But you can't afford to have bad games when you have a rookie that they selected high in the 2nd round right behind you. And look, I still believe that Spencer Rattler can be a very good quarterback in this league on a week-to-week basis. He's only had 2 bad games this year. If Tyler Schut goes out there and he outperforms him on every single level for the rest of the season, that would be great for the Saints organization, and that would be great for Tyler Schut. In that case, move on from Spencer Rattler. Trade him somewhere else in the NFL. I still believe he goes to a better team, or he goes behind a veteran quarterback that's on the last leg of his career, Spencer Rattler, with the throws that he's made this season and from last season, you can win football games with him. Now, far as Tyler Shough here, he came in this game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Technically, he threw an interception. It wasn't on him. Wide open wide receiver, drops the football, it goes for an interception. Tyler Shough is actually older than Spencer Rattler. Not trying to age shame here, but he's a year older than Spencer Rattler. He spent a lot of time at the college level. A lot of bad luck as well with injuries. Was at Texas Tech, Oregon, Louisville. Had a lot of good moments at Louisville. All he has to do is just come in, throw to the open wide receiver, work off the run game, and just don't turn the football over. Tyler Shough is seen as this safe prospect coming out of college. A lot of scouts call him pro-ready. I'm not the biggest fan of Tyler Shough in terms of him being a franchise quarterback in this league, but maybe he'll come out and maybe he'll shock me. But if the run game is not better and this offensive line is still inconsistent and your wide receivers can't consistently catch the football in space, it is going to look the same even with Tyler Shough. But if Shough can go out there and he can limit the turnovers, or he doesn't have turnovers in general, that will give him a huge advantage over Spencer Rattler right now. And that's what I'm hoping for. Regardless, I just want to see good quarterback play with the Saints all around. So we'll see what Tyler Shough can do against the Los Angeles Rams. It's not the ideal situation to go against a veteran team like the Rams when you have a veteran head coach in Sean McVay, a veteran quarterback and Matthew Stafford with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua will be coming back in that matchup. But your defense has had some good moments this season. As far as the offensive line here, when you face that Rams front, be very careful and get the football out quick as possible. We'll see how Tyler Shough fares, but I am rooting for him. The defense here, let's get into the good things with the Saints. Kool-Aid McKinstry, phenomenal cornerback. He is amazing. Had that game against the New York Giants, but he has consistently been their best cover corner this season. And the same with Jonas Sanker at the free safety position. He has been a very good football player, and he's a rookie. Jonas Sanker basically plays his game like he's a 10-year vet. You have something special with him on the back end of this defense. Justin Reed is a solid veteran safety to have around. You can blitz him off the edge. He can cover tight ends in space. They don't use him the same way that Kansas City has in the past, but he hasn't been this terrible player this season in New Orleans. He's just a very good veteran to have on the back end of this defense against the run and against tight ends in space. Alontae Taylor, solid cornerback. He's not on the same level as Kool-Aid McKinstry, but he's a good player. The front seven is aging out, and is aging out very fast. Cameron Jordan should retire 3 years ago, but he's still in this roster. He may be a minority owner one day with the New Orleans Saints. He is definitely going to be a Saint for life. Amazing player to have in your locker room, but with the contract he has right now, it just doesn't make sense. Very good run stopper. He just can't get to the passer at the same rate as he was able to 5 to 6 years ago, and that's expected because he is older. But he's definitely in the last phase of his career. Chase Young has missed time this season dealing with a calf injury, but he was phenomenal against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was the best player in that game for the Saints. He was amazing. And that is what you want to see out of Chase Young. Was great against the run, getting to the quarterback on a consistent basis, making Baker Mayfield uncomfortable. He also had some plays where they made him bounce out into coverage. So Chase Young, if you can get more of that on a consistent basis from week to week, that's a very good player to have in your front seven. DeMario Davis is just a freak of nature. As he gets older, he continues to get better in his career. Brian Bresee, very good football player. The thing is this with Brian Bresee, only 1.5 sacks this season, 1 forced fumble, 7 solo tackles. But we've seen Brian Bresee in the past be a very good pass rusher and be solid against the run. This is the thing here with Brian Bresee. Can you stay healthy and can you be better against the run? They spent a first-round pick on him. Carl Granderson has looked better this season than last season. So there's definitely some positive things here with the New Orleans Saints. It's not all doom and gloom. I know a lot of people, they may look at it and they may say they're 1-7. There's nothing positive here. There's a lot of positive things with the defense. It just comes down to roster construction with Mickey Loomis. And right now, as I record this video, the Saints, they are projected to have the first overall pick in the 2026 in the NFL draft. Please don't draft a quarterback with that pick. You have other needs on this roster, like edge rusher, interior of your offensive line. You can have other impact players on this roster that can help out a quarterback like Tyler Schut, and the same with Spencer Rattler. And if Tyler Schut looks bad for the rest of the season, and the same with Spencer Rattler, we could possibly have that conversation. But I feel like the New Orleans Saints are going down a bad road here if they select a quarterback with the first overall pick. This is just projections here. We've seen a lot of teams. The Browns have done this, the same with the Jets. They continue to roll the dice at the quarterback position, and they constantly do that year in and year out. But you're not fixing the other problems on your team. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They have a complete team around Jalen Hurts. The quarterback position is the most important position in the NFL, but you have to give that position as much help as possible with the offensive line, with a consistent run game, wide receivers. I feel like in today's NFL, we fell in love with the thought of a quarterback coming in and fixing all your problems. He can't fix all your problems. He can mask certain problems, but he can't fix every single one of them. But if you go out there and you bring in a top edge rusher like Ruben Bain out of Miami, you pair him up with a veteran like Chase Young and Carl Granderson and Brian Bresee, that should be the way to go. And you draft you a wide receiver in the second or third round to replace Chris Olave or Rashid Shaheed. And you can still have some money in free agency to play around with the fact that Derek Carr has now retired. But we'll see what the New Orleans Saints can do for the rest of the season. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Saints turning to Tyler Schut and moving off of Spencer Rattler for the foreseeable future? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.